morning to everyone. I'm Maria Alejandra Giraldo Jaramillo, and today I would like to present the results of my study on the implementation of Facebook and WhatsApp to improve motivation and participation. Social networks are designed to meet our need for social stimulation. Indeed, this feature has generated certain dependency on the younger population. For this reason, social media is mostly associated with absence-mindedness, poor academic performance, and the decline in social skills. However, this study has a slightly different approach to this problem, which is becoming more frequent due to virtual learning. The institution Santa Luisa of Marillac has a long and successful history training young people with solid principles such as leadership, autonomy, responsibility, and sense of community. Nevertheless, distance learning and social distancing has weakened the relationships and interactions between the teachers, the students, and their classmates. These circumstances have transformed the daily development of the class. Thus, concerning issues such as high rates of lack of motivation and participation appear. After carrying on a long process of analysis and studies, it was concluded that the most suitable way to intervene in the situation was through one of its causes: social networks. Aiming to solve this problem, the following objectives were designed. The general objective was to implement Facebook and WhatsApp social networks to improve motivation and participation among the students of the upper grade in the institution Santa Luisa of Marillac. The specific objectives were to identify and categorize the students' needs, interests, expectations for the English class, to create groups for the interaction of students in WhatsApp and Facebook, to establish a reward system at an individual and collective level, to design social media content and workshops that involve different types of interaction among students in the social networks, to evaluate the perspective of the students towards social networks and their performance in English classes. This study was supported through the following theoretical framework. According to the study conducted by Caldas, Ahmad, Abidin in 2010, Facebook generates an environment that can attract motivated students in the process of acquiring a foreign language. This platform encourages participation and a positive attitude towards English learning. This platform increases the students' interest and facilitates interaction and collaboration. In addition, there are other beneficial factors in the use of these tools in language teaching. First, they allow interaction in other realistic contexts. Second, it improves grammar skills, increases vocabulary, and communication with others. Immediacy in communication implicates verbal and non-verbal behaviors that demonstrate openness or desire to communicate with others. In computer-mediated communications, there are two main immediacy dimensions: regard and approachability. Regard factors tell other members that the person who shares the content has the intention to approach and interact with them. Approachability factors tell other members that it's right to approach and interact with the people or the content sharing the groups. The information is very significant, taking into account the didactic objective of social networks as a communicative and interactive tool. The previous indicators may allow the creation of an atmosphere where students feel confidence to interact with the other members of the group. According to Sheen, computer-mediated collaborative networks make language learners become more attached, attentive, and willing to express their own ideas and interact with other people. Likewise, students' friendship, communication, and sense of trust were improved. Task-based learning is a methodology in which education involves the accomplishment of significant tasks. Typical lesson plan involves different moments focused on the outcome of the student. There is an introduction of the team, and there is manipulation of the target language and the presentation of a product. With the aim of analyzing the difficulties presented in the students of the upper grades of the institution Santa Luisa of Marillac, three different instruments were taken into account: an informal talk with the homeroom teachers, an analysis on the field journals, and a survey to the students. The data collecting tools were aimed to obtaining different perspectives of the problem. As a result of the informal talk and the analysis on the field journals, factors such as lack of motivation, lack of participation, attitude problem, lack of resources, and emotional issues emerged. The lack of attention was only found in the field journals. In the survey to the students, it is necessary to highlight the following aspects. First, the most frequent networks used by students were Facebook and WhatsApp. They spend 3 hours or more a day using them. Second, social media is the main source of distraction in the classes, and participation outcomes are very low. Third, the relationships between the groups is considered as regular by a large percentage of the population. After a meticulous analysis of the instruments, the following determination was reached. The most notorious problems in the population were the lack of motivation and the lack of participation in class. To intervene the motivation and participation in the classroom, interactive content was published on a regular basis and a series of workshops were held. The students of the upper grades in the institution carry out these activities in Facebook and WhatsApp. They were rewarded through a point system in the application Class Dojo, and the number of points was determined according to badges. The workshops were designed based on the task-based learning methodology. This team, others in them, were inspired by the cross-cutting themes of the institution, like human rights, democracy, environment, and sexual education. Because of these workshops, opinion spaces, posters, and other creative projects were generated. The content disseminated in the groups sought to encourage motivation, interaction, and participation among students. It contained activities such as conversation forums, interactive videos, song, humorous content, and group games in English. To evaluate the effectiveness of the intervention in the classroom, 3 instruments were carried out. The data collecting instruments included field journals, student survey, and social media statistics. The analysis of field journals concluded that motivation, interaction, good attitude, and emotional expressiveness from students were impaired. Social networks statistics show outstanding results. The engagement with the page increased by 672% in reactions, by 418 comments, and by 122 inactive members. In WhatsApp, the number of active members increased by 76%. Besides, implementing both applications simultaneously improved their participation and increased the number of members in Facebook. The survey to the students determined that almost 100% of the students considered that social media increases interaction with the English class. Most of the students agreed that social media benefits the interaction among students and improves motivations towards English learning. The interactive content had a high rate of appreciation among students, and the intervention had a reward system that was important for them. I recognize that the creation of Facebook and WhatsApp groups managed to restore connection and interaction of the students with English learning. I acknowledge that implementation of a system of rewards and points had a very positive impact on the usage of social networks for language learning. I identify that publishing interactive content on a regular basis made students more engaged with the activities and more autonomous in the learning process. I determined that the workshops shared in the groups were very popular and achieved more personal communication among students. I noticed that regarding the students' perspective on social networks in language learning, the level of acceptance of these platforms reached 100% of approval among students. The use of social networks strongly encourages motivation and interaction of students, not only in the English class, but also with the teacher and other students. Implementing English content through social media transcends the barrier that exists between the students and the language. The impact on the population is very meaningful, and it transforms the perspective of what is the objective of the communication in English. Through social networks, it is possible to motivate, to encourage students to become more active members of the class. It is essential to involve a system of points and publishing content on a regular basis when using social media. It is indispensable to diversify the content, taking into account the factors of approachability enunciated in the theoretical framework by O'Sullivan, Hunt, and Lieber.